This is Action 5 News, the 11 o'clock report, your news source for the tri-state.
Illinois voters still don't know who.
The wives of some of Cincinnati's firefighters are making some decisions tonight. They are trying to reform a ladies' auxiliary in light of possible fire department layoffs and last week's threatened strike. Dan Hobel has just returned to the newsroom after attending the meeting tonight. Dan, what was the mood?
Well, Rick, most of the alarm from the past week has worn off now. The courts are going to decide how layoffs are to be made if job cuts are necessary.
And further out to the west, no clouds.
This is an Action 5 News update brought to you by the 10 AMCO transmission centers in Greater Cincinnati.
Good evening, I'm Robin Phillips. Cincinnati police are searching for a young pregnant woman who's been missing since October 25th. Preparations for Thursday's launch of the space shuttle are underway at Cape Canaveral. The weather outlook features mild temperatures. Steve Horsemeyer will have that story. And Fred Khalil will have a profile of University of Kentucky basketball sensation Dirk Minifield. Join us for details at 11.
It didn't take long for the newsroom to develop team coverage for the big stories.
Good evening. The worst air disaster in Cincinnati's history happened tonight.
They put their plan into action a few years later during a deadly fire on board an Air Canada jet at the Greater Cincinnati Airport. It's one of the first examples of live team coverage as viewers watched the drama unfold.
The plane was 31,000 feet in the air when it caught fire. The pilot made a perfect landing.
They're moving them to a temporary morgue that they have set up in a nearby maintenance building.
Days. The 70s brought a change to the weather front with a personality approach rather than a scientific one. Those days, many of the weather presenters were not meteorologists.
Now this is a picture of an infrared satellite, a brand new tool that we're using.
Computers played a major role in the transformation of the 80s, both on and off the air, and replaced with colorful computer displays, along with moving satellites and radar pictures.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Richard Hull.
And I'm Norma Rashid. Coming up next on Action 5 News tonight, a state Supreme Court tonight has ordered surgery for a young girl with cancer who has refused treatment on religious grounds. And we'll show you one way to keep warm as the weather goes the other way.
I'm Jerry Springer. The world changed, so we shouldn't be surprised that our colleges did too. We'll talk about it.
Steve Fisiak has a preview of what to expect from UC this weekend, and Steve Horsemeyer says it's going to feel like we skipped fall altogether and went right into winter in the morning.
Action 5 News tonight is next.
WLWT TV5 Cincinnati. All tonight's news from the Tri-State's finest Action 5 News team. Richard Hull and Norma Rashid. Jerry Springer's Night Beat. Steve Fisiak has sports and weather with Steve Horsemeyer. Live from Cincinnati, this is Action 5 News Tonight.
The first day of testimony in the trial of Michael Buki is over tonight. Buki is charged with the murder of one man and the attempted murder of two others in the so-called hitchhiker shootings. One victim, Craig Wayhoff, entered the courtroom in a wheelchair today. He testified that Buki pulled a gun on him and ordered him to drive to a remote area of Sims Township. Wayhoff claims Buki shot him twice. The prosecuting attorneys say they'll deal with the shooting death of Robert Craig when that trial resumes tomorrow.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Michael Collins.
And I'm Robin Phillips. Coming up on Action 5 News tonight, there they were, stuck out in the middle of no man's land, and all of a sudden the boss shows up to see how they're doing. And doggone, the pooch parade has passed, and Annie Sandy has been picked at last.
In sports, we will find out just what went wrong with the Bengals today in Kansas City, and meteorologist Steve Horsemeyer says if you don't wear gloves tonight, you may end up with frigid digits. Stay
tuned. Action 5 News tonight is next.
WLWT TV5 Cincinnati. All tonight's news from the Tri-State's finest news team. Michael Collins and Robin Phillips. Steve Shapiro has sports. And meteorologist Steve Horsemeyer has the Skytrack 5 weather. Live from Cincinnati, this is Action 5 News Tonight.
Good evening, everyone. President Reagan's 6-day Asian visit has come to an end tonight. With a white truce flag waving, the president's motorcade wound its way up to one of two American posts at the demilitarized zone. There he prayed with American soldiers stationed at one of the most heavily armed places on this planet. The president spied through binoculars at Pakchani, a fake village built by North Korea to show what life is like on the other side of the DMZ. But President Reagan was not impressed.
It's like a Hollywood backlot, and isn't any more important.
Secretary of State George Shultz is calling the president's visit an outstanding success. And Ohio Congressman Tom Luken thinks this is a good time for President Reagan to tour South Korea, the country Luken calls the Japan of the future.
I'm not appalled or discouraged by the tone of the president's statements. I think they're appropriate, particularly in that situation, with our interests being what they are there.
Luken says it's hard to be in a country like South Korea and not have strong anti-communist feelings. But President Reagan's trip to Asia failed to produce any major breakthrough on sensitive issues, including trade disputes with Japan and human rights problems in South Korea.
Back in Washington tonight, Robin, a warning has been issued to Syria. Recently, U.S. jets flying reconnaissance missions over Lebanon have been fired at by Syrian gunners. Robert McFarland, National Security Advisor, says if it happens again, the U.S. will respond. Lebanese President Jamal has abruptly canceled a peacemaking trip to Syria scheduled for tomorrow. This after being told that Syrian President Assad has taken ill and has been hospitalized. There's no word on the nature of that illness. Meanwhile, Syrian-backed Palestinian rebels continued to shell Yasser Arafat's last stronghold today and rejected Arafat's conditions for leaving northern Lebanon as being nothing more than a gimmick to buy time. That time seems to be running out for a peaceful settlement tonight. Syrian gunners again shelled the oil refinery north of the city. Guerrillas loyal to Arafat returned the fire. And returning from a tour of the front lines, Arafat said his followers were in danger of being massacred if he leaves. He wants an Arab observer force stationed there to protect his people.
I am here, as I have mentioned, because it is my duty to be beside my people and our troops when they are facing danger and are facing aggression. So as soon as everything returns back to its usual and original case, I return back direct.
Arafat says if his conditions are met, he will then return to the PLO headquarters in Tripoli.
The fighting is over for the time being in Grenada tonight. Thousands of people on that Caribbean island filled churches today, giving thanks to the U.S.-led invasion that ousted the Soviets and Cubans. Meanwhile, in Cuba, Fidel Castro has declared a 3-day mourning period for the 37 Cubans killed in the fighting. Well, the mourning continues tonight in Cincinnati for longtime school board member Mary Schloss. Funeral services for Mrs. Schloss were held today in North Avondale. Friends and colleagues remembered her devotion to the children.
I don't think anybody will ever appreciate the contributions she has made to the Cincinnati school system. She's always in the background, but she was as solid as the Rock of Gibraltar.
Mrs. Schloss served on the school board for 13 years. She became the first woman president in 1973, served in that capacity again in 1979, and chaired the board's finance committee for 4 years. Mrs. Schloss also served as staff lawyer for the National Labor Relations Board. Coming up on Action 5 News tonight, striking bus drivers don't want to lead a dog's life.
And shoppers flock to beat the crowd to find something that's a winner, and turkeys flock to get away, unless they're taken home for dinner. That story in a moment.
Action 5 News, filled with exclusive features to help you cope with your busy world. Night Beat, Jerry Springer's unique commentaries on Cincinnati life and times. Newsreader, memories from Cincinnati's colorful past, gathered from the Action 5 historical files and presented by Michael Collins. Latest health news reported by Carol Wilson. Tori Atali's acclaimed series, My Child is Missing. These exclusive features and more only on Action 5 News nightly at 6 and 11 on TV5.
All tonight's news from the Action 5 News team.
I white-knuckled for about a year with him, hoping that he could finish out the sentence before the teleprompter went down.
Law office to City Hall, and from newsman to television.
The president of the local Teamsters Union in Cincinnati in northern Kentucky is warning trucking companies to send trucks out in convoys after midnight on Monday.
This is Jerry Springer, as he was known to Cincinnatians throughout the 80s, local news anchor. Here's how he got there.
Or football, have that story. Talk to Dr. J and Brian Sipe after these words. It's one of those good problems. The Crusaders have a defensive back who's one of the very best in the country, but he's not sure if he's going to continue his football future. Todd Donahoe has that story.
Number 34, Byron Larkin, is an All-American defensive back for Moeller High School. In this, his senior year, he has 7 interceptions in 7 games. During the winter, Byron is a 6-foot 3-inch all-star player, a guard, averaging 23 points a game for Moeller. So Byron Larkin has a decision to make, to play college football or college basketball. He's good enough to play both.
I'm leaning toward basketball right now.
Why?
Well, I guess that's what I've always wanted to do ever since I was a little kid. I've always played football, like as an off sport, but I have always loved basketball.
Byron could step in and play college football for just about anybody in the country.
Oh, no doubt. He's a Division I player, and he could go anywhere he wanted to and play football in college. I think he would probably be a better Division I football player because he's going to be recruited by all the big schools. Basketball-wise, he'll probably be recruited Division I, but maybe not the best basketball schools in the country. I'm in a real dilemma right now.
Well, which one do you think you'd be better at, college football or college basketball?
Well, I'm not really sure. I think I probably would do better in basketball, I think, because that's where my heart's at.
What schools are you leaning toward?
Purdue, Vanderbilt, Xavier.
So for Byron Larkin, the question is to follow his best sport, football, or to follow his favorite sport, basketball. Todd Donahoe, Action 5 Sports, tonight.
He's got to like this next guy. The NBA World Champions were in the fact that...
Everyone, a small plane splashed into the Ohio River just a short time ago. Robin Phillips is live on the scene with the action cam. Robin, what is the situation there?
Michael, right now the Coast Guard is getting ready to tow the boat away. The pilot of the plane, Pat Tuckey, is 25 years old from Ann Arbor, Michigan. He had been towing one of those advertising signs over the stadium, thought he was losing fuel, and splashed down into the Ohio River. With me now is David Franks and Randy Faulkner. They were one of the first 2 people, rather, to get to the scene. Gentlemen, what did you see when you started talking to the pilot?
Well, at first we saw him coming down the river, and he was like diving at first, it looked, and then his plane started back up, and then he coasted on down this way, and we never heard anything. By that time, you know, we were all coming over the hill, and there was enough boats there to really help the guy, you know, once we'd gotten over this way. So.
The gentleman also told me that Mr. Tuckey just had a minor injury. It appeared to be on his chin, and he will go to St. Luke's Hospital. We'll have a full report at 11. Back to you, Michael.
Thank you, Robin. Fortunately, no one was hurt in that accident.
This is Action 5 News, Morning Edition, with Carol Wilson.
It's 8:25. Good morning. I'm Dan Hovel filling in for Carol Wilson. Maxine Brown is here as usual with News Sign. Checking road conditions this Monday morning, police are trying to get things back to normal after an accident at the 5500 block of Cheviot Road. Heavy traffic is also reported in the usual places, including northbound from Kentucky into Cincinnati and in the UC area. Middletown fire officials this morning still aren't sure what triggered a 4-alarm blaze that destroyed a city landmark. The building, originally Middletown High School, has been vacant for the past 7 years. The blaze broke out before dawn yesterday, and the brick walls are all that's left. The roof fell through and the interior was gutted. The fire chief told us no one was injured, but what's left will have to be demolished. The cause of that blaze remains under investigation. Another fire, this one in Bromley, gutted a family's home at the Pleasant Valley Trailer Park. Fire officials say the family was using an electric heater when it accidentally was knocked over. It wasn't noticed until the family smelled smoke. Damage is estimated at $7,000. The station manager of WBLZ says someone deliberately cut guide wires holding the station's 500-foot antenna. The station was knocked off the air late Saturday night when the top 300 feet of the tower buckled. The Miami Valley radio telephone paging service also had antennas atop the tower. The station is back on the air this morning. Investigators aren't sure if the wires were cut or just snapped by themselves. They say no one saw or heard anything. Lawyers for the NAACP, the Cincinnati schools, and the state school board will be in federal court today. A 10-year-old lawsuit charging school officials with purposely segregating schools will begin. Lawyers for the school board claim that neighborhood patterns caused whatever segregation might have occurred. Well, there's at least one person this morning who may never have to get up this early to work again, but at this person, no one knows who he or she is. Lottery officials say there's one winning ticket in the 6-number Ohio Lotto game. That means someone is going to collect $5,007,441. What a way to start the week. We'll be back with weather and sports in just a minute. In sports, get used to hearing about Super Bowl 18, 13 days to go. If you were sleeping and missed the games yesterday, Washington topped the 49ers 24-21 to earn a ticket to the game. The Raiders beat up the Seahawks 30-14. Turning to college basketball for tonight, the Xavier Musketeers are in Chicago to take on Loyola, and Kentucky is hosting the Crimson Tide of Alabama. 28 degrees right now in Cincinnati. Let's go right to the forecast. We can expect cloudy and mild with rain by tonight. The high should be about 42 degrees. Tonight, the low should be about 24 degrees. There's a chance for snow, but meteorologist Gary Rizzo says it won't amount to much more than an inch at the most. Tomorrow, clearing skies, windy and cold, the high only about 24 degrees. We're coming up on 8:30 now. The next Action 5 news update is at 11:30 with Ann Reskin and the Midday crew. I'm Dan Hovel for the rest of the morning staff. Good morning.
This is Action 5 News Morning Edition with Tori Atali.
Good morning. It's 8:25, Friday, July 20th. I'm Tori Atali, along with meteorologist Steve Horstmeyer and Maxine Brown. The only thing really definite about our weather today is that the skies won't be perfectly clear like they were yesterday. Partly cloudy is a term you're going to hear most of the weekend, and we won't know until later if some showers will pass through our area. Steve will have more on that later. The whereabouts of fugitive Alton Coleman and companion Deborah Brown are still a mystery today. And until police think otherwise, they're assuming he remains in the Dayton-Cincinnati area. Officials here are following up on any leads they receive and warning people to be on the lookout for the two. Meanwhile, the Hamilton County Coroner's Office is trying to determine if there's a link between Coleman and the badly decomposed body of a black woman found in this abandoned apartment building in Mount Auburn last night. A woman and 2 children were spotted with Coleman and Brown in Dayton 2 weeks ago and haven't been seen since. Coleman's wanted in at least 6 murders and numerous robberies and beatings in the Midwest. The wife of mass murderer James Huberty this morning is apologizing to the community of San Ysidro following her husband's rampage attack at a McDonald's restaurant. Mrs. Huberty says she doesn't know what her husband's motives were, but says he did not use drugs. Meanwhile, 1 more victim died last night at a Southern California hospital, bringing the death toll to 22, including Huberty, who was shot by police. McDonald's Corporation has stopped all of its commercial advertising, and in a surprise move, its biggest competitor, Burger King, did the same. In sports, Mario Soto did it all for the Reds last night. He won his 10th game of the season and drove in 2 runs with a second-inning double, outslugging the Mets 9-6. Tonight, Jay Tibbs is on the mound for the Reds. Dwight Gooden for New York. Game time, 7:35 at Riverfront Stadium. And the Reds should have perfect baseball weather for tonight's game. Steve Horstmeyer will be back with a forecast right after this.
Good morning, everyone. The big difference you're going to notice today compared to yesterday is that there will be more clouds, and then the humidity is going to creep up a little bit. Let's look at the current conditions. Find out that outside temperature 63, downtown the same thing. The wind is calm. The humidity is 63 degrees, so the humidity combination with temperature doesn't make it feel any warmer. The river stage, 26.7 feet. Yesterday's high 82, this morning's low 55. Now let's take a look at the radar. You can see in the middle that big blob is ground clutter. There's no rain in Cincinnati yet, but look where IND is. Just to the left of that, that's a shower, maybe a thunder shower. Scattered showers in Indiana. They're all heading east-southeast, and they could pass through the Cincinnati area sometime later on, so just a slight risk of a shower or a thunder shower this afternoon and evening. The forecast then for today, it'll be partly cloudy. Showers are a good possibility in some sections. Most of us will be dry. The high temperature will be 86, but with the higher humidity, it'll feel like 87. Then for tonight, partly cloudy and warmer, the low 65. For Saturday, partly cloudy and more humid. The high temperature about 88. The humidity will make it feel like it's in the 90s. Then for Sunday, it'll be a partly cloudy, hot, humid day. The high temperature 91, and the humidity will make it feel like it's about 97 on Sunday. So a rather sticky weekend is ahead of us. I'm meteorologist Steve Horstmeyer. I hope you have a nice day and a nice weekend. For Maxine Brown and for Tori Atali, have a very nice day.
From Scottsdale, Arizona, Arnie now, 17. The Professional Bowlers Association will once again hold their regional tournament here in the area at the Super Bowl in Erlanger. Guess who won today? Yes, pro bowler turned TV analyst Dave Newrath, our partner on the BPA King of Bowling, and I'm sure we'll never hear the end of this one. Here's Dave Hambone bearing 10 in the pit right here as he won it again. There will be lots of local talent in the tournament, which begins this coming weekend. Again, all this action will be going on at the Super Bowl in Erlanger. Steve Fair and Kevin Gillette, a couple of pros from the area, will also be in the tourney. 5,425 racing buffs
Clausey, 247 to 221. Clausey won $2,000. This is Clausey here. 6 Cincinnati area bowlers finished in the top 24, including Dave Newrath of Florence, who came in 3rd, and amateur Jamie Farr of Erlanger, who finished 6th. By the way, you'll be able to see the replay of the finals of this tournament here on Channel 5. That will be next Saturday. Now, this may sound philosophic, but many of us consider sports to be the toy department. Ohio.